Hello again, everybody. Zack Attack is here with my TLC review for. Wait a minute. This is not the TLC that this is about. Hold on, I gotta make a shirt change for a second. Tonight's TLC event does not stand for 10-11 care, nor does it stand for T-Bar's Left Eye and Chili. No, it's the TLC that's $9.99 of the WWE Network, the TLC that stands for tables, ladders, and chairs with stairs tonight. Oh my! Of course, that event tonight, live from the Quicken Loans Arena in Cleveland, Ohio. I had to make that joke because I have a new TLC shirt. When I knew I was making this review, I was like, I gotta use that shirt some way. Get it, T-Buzz up that chili, tables, lettuce, chairs, Anyway, tonight, we all knew that the main roster at the top, NXT TakeOver. If you haven't seen my review for NXT TakeOver Our Evolution, it's on this channel. That event was awesome. Proved that NXT, in my mind, is the best wrestling brand of the entire company. So the main roster knew it had to step up its game. Unfortunately, most of it did not live up to NXT, proving that the trading grounds for the new stars is better than the current roster. Two matches were really good. The first match and the main event were really good. The rest of the card was okay. We had some moments, as you see on the highlights. Got a new champion. We had a big return tonight, and sadly, the main event for the Royal Rumble is revealed. Anyway, 6.0. I'll give it 6.2. 6.2 because I had two great matches on the card. The rest were just okay. Survivor Series was a little bit better. Not just because Sting showed up. Because there was some decent action on the Survivor Series. Tonight's card was just okay. For being a TLC pay-per-view, it was just okay. It was entertaining, I'll say that much. But in comparison to NXT, not even close to being as good as NXT. But let's get it on with the pre-show matchup. The New Day, course, Kofi Kingston teaming with Biggie Langston. The team up against Golden Stardust with, of course, Xavier Woods at ringside. This stems from what happened 2 weeks ago on Raw in a tag team turmoil match. Golden Stardust were the first team pinned by the New Day, which was Kofi and Xavier. And then Golden Stardust came out later on and got them eliminated from this turmoil match after they got eliminated by New Day earlier. A little bit of revenge there. So we knew these two teams were wrestling, but we didn't know when. And it was on the pre-show tonight. A very fun match to begin here. I've said it on the last couple of Raw reviews that the New Day should be a heel team. They have potential to be a heel team. But they're getting over well as a face team with the dance moves and the chant. They're trying to be like the fact that the actors were more fun. But a really fun matchup. Golden Stardust. Stardust tonight had new face paint again. First he had the all red face paint. Now he's green apparently. So maybe he painted himself green to prove how green Johnny Manziel was a quarterback tonight, since they were in Cleveland. The Browns got their asses stomped. Anyway, still a very fun matchup between these great high-flying, exciting teams. We're going to start having their way for a little bit. And of course, Kofi and Biggie. Great combination because you have the big power of Biggie in the flying and speed of Kofi Kingston. And that outweighed the uniqueness and craziness of Golden Stardust, despite them having a little bit of a leverage, trying to go for their big moves. Of course, I like the double team move that Biggie and Kofi did at the end of the matchup. Like a cool double team move to get the 1-2-3 victory on Gold and Stardust to begin pay-per-view this evening for the pre-show. 2.0 for that matchup. It's a really fun opener to open up the pre-show. Decent matchup to kick it off with the pre-show. Now, like I said, on the main card, which we're starting off right now, two matches stood out. The beginning match and the last match. Let's go to the second match of the night. The first matchup of the night for the Intercontinental Championship. the ladder match involving Dolph Ziggler taking on Luke Harper. Now, this was in Ohio. It's Dolph Ziggler's hometown. And this was a very grueling matchup between these two guys. Very good back and forth matchup. And there was blood in it, actually. There were some good spots in this ladder match. Very good action from these two guys. Harper did pretty well in this, and so did Ziggler, like I said. A couple spots stood out for me. There was a spot where Harper was on the outside with a ladder attached to him, and Ziggler did like a baseball slide. Slid the ladder to the face of Harper. Then there was another ladder on the floor, and Harper landed on top of that ladder on his shoulder. He hurt his arm really bad. Then there was another spot. It was like a slingshot with the ladder on top of Ziggler's face, and he got slingshotted into the ladder, and he bled a little bit. Both guys were bleeding a little bit, with Harper's shoulder bleeding after nailing his shoulder against the ladder, and Ziggler's head bleeding after getting nailed, slingshot into a ladder. And these two just brawled like the main event was, and it was just great action with great moves. I think there was a DDT move up the ladder. There were some great spots. Like I said, two of those spots were really good. And like I said, both guys, there was a lot of spots where both guys were climbing the ladder, and both guys, at 7 points in the matchup, both guys had very good opportunities to grab the title belt. Both guys were inches away from getting to it. But, both guys got thrown in by the other. One was getting close, the other thrown in. There's a lot of falling off the ladder bits. Like every stipulation match tonight ended up being some sort of a spot fest, especially the main event. But they were fun ones at that. So these two guys were just having a ball. These two guys, it was a wrestling match. Like all of these stipulation matches are basically balls. Like I said, I wish they would have used more weapons in this matchup besides the ladders. Maybe some chairs. But following some great action for these two guys, just brawling and just beating the crap out of each other. Bleeding and all that stuff. Like I said, both guys had an opportunity, and Harper was getting up there, and all of a sudden, as Harper was trying to be close to the belt, Ziggler knocks Harper down. With Harper down for the count, Ziggler got up the ladder, got the IC Championship belt again, and won the matchup. So Dolph Ziggler won the IC Championship again tonight in his hometown of Cleveland, Ohio. Now, I'm happy that Ziggler won it all. Happy because I'm a Ziggler fan. I'm kind of stunned that Harper only had the championship for about 3 weeks, because I thought Harper was going to hold on to it tonight. But 2 reasons why I think Ziggler won the match tonight. Number one, like I said, we're in Cleveland, Ohio, his home state. Number two, to kind of reward Ziggler after his tremendous performance in the Survivor Series main event. Being down 3-1 in the main event, Team Cena against Team Authority, and an epic performance with a little help from Sting. Winning it. So I think that's kind of Ziggler's reward for, hey, Ziggler, get your pat on the back. You had a great performance in Survivor Series. Here's your reward. You get back the IC Championship. And he's won a lot of matches before, especially Money in the Bank match. He won a ladder match back in TLC 2010. So they got a 3.3 for this matchup. Really good matchup to open up the pay-per-view. Very fun match. And there was some blood in there, even though they had the dang referees trying to wipe up the blood because it's TVPG and all. But still, fun, very grueling physical matchup to open up the pay-per-view with Ziggler reclaiming the Intercontinental Championship. Surprise, Harper had a short reign. You know what I mean? But hey, Harper will get it back eventually, because I think Harper as IC champion would have been good in the long run if he had a longer reign. But like I said, on the other hand, I'm glad Ziggler won. So it didn't matter who won. I liked whoever won. Didn't matter who won the match. So there you go. Ziggler reclaims the IC Championship. For one title match to another, it's time for the WWE Tag Team title matchup. We have the Usos going up against Miz and Mizdow, the Tag Team Champions. Now, we've been seeing the storyline involving Miz getting involved with Jimmy Uso's real-life wife, Naomi, trying to get her in the business, giving Naomi a business card. And earlier tonight on the pre-show, they had a segment involving Naomi saying that, Miz, I don't want to take your card, blah, 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 blah. didn't want to take anything from her agent because she think Miz was a snake, getting advice from her husband Jimmy. And you knew Jimmy was going to go all over Miz, which he did. And once again, if you've been a regular viewer of my reviews, whether it's the pay-per-view reviews or Raw reviews, I sound like a broken record every time I say this. It's awesome to see Mizdow acting. This whole Mizdow character's helped Damien Sandow get a big. He's getting over. The fans love him. The way he's been portraying Miz's stunt double. He won LOL Moment of the Year at the Slammies. And that Slammy would come in handy for the ending of the matchup. As the Usos were taking control, and Mizdow once again reenacting what Miz was going through, whether it's winning or losing, especially when Miz is getting a double suplex. The Usos look really good in this matchup. These are okay tag team matchup. Very fun matchup. But we need some new blood in there. We need some new tag teams in the division. I've been saying it for months. Once they get the Ascension up on the main roster, they're going to one rough shot in the tag team division. I heard they aired an Ascension promo on a SmackDown Friday. So it might be getting closer to getting the Ascension from NXT to get on the main roster. Especially since they lost to Hideo and Finn Balor on the Thursday takeover event. So, Whoop the 999 Network is watching NXT every week. You know, I wonder what's worse. Them shamelessly plugging the network every week, or me shamelessly plugging NXT. When it's to NXT deserves the plugging as NXT rules. Especially the new NXT champ, Sami Zayn wants to review of that event. Anyway, as Usos were looking good, just taking control of the matchup, isolating Miz and everything. They brought on the outside, and like I said, Miz now won a Slammy for LOL Moment of the Year. Like I said, that Slammy would come in handy to end the matchup as Miz would behead one of the Usos with the Slammy, causing a disqualification with Mizdow and Miz weak ending the tag team championships in cheap fashion with the Usos winning by DQ. 2.0 just because the match ended in a DQ. It was an okay matchup. It was very fun and entertaining, especially with Sandow, been plotting Sandow going through all this stuff, going through all this silliness, and embracing this Mizdow character and playing it really well. He's getting a reaction, like I said. And I hope it lands into a turn from Mizdow turning on Miz one day. It'll come. So there you go. Usos lose the match. They won the match, but they don't get the title as Miz got himself DQ. In his former hometown of Cleveland, Ohio, because now he's built from Hollywood. Anyway, on to our next matchup. The stairs portion of the TLCS. They call it TLCS. I'm still calling it tables, ladders, and chairs. That's why you see the title of my review, it's still WWE TLC review and not TLCS. Still calling it tables, ladders, and chairs. I do add the with stairs part when I talk about it, but not on the title. We had Big Show against Rowan. Erik won. Why was this match even on the card tonight? I know they used stairs in the matchup on Raw. I didn't know they're going to make a whole match out of it on the pay-per-view. And this match was just slow and boring. This always happens with two giant guys who just are not mobile. They're not agile enough. They have limited mobility. That's why I hate every time you get a Big Show Mark Henry match. They're too slow as hell. And all they use was stairs. It's kind of interesting using stairs one time in a match. That's fun. But using stairs as the only weapon of the entire match gets boring after a while. Like TLC matches use different weapons. So that's why it doesn't get old. They even had a stats on the stairs during the pre-show. Really? Stats on the stairs. That's fucked up. It was just okay. It was just boring. You can hear the fans in Cleveland, Ohio say boring during this matchup. The crowd was decent, especially during the main event and the first match, like I said. So, after a few minutes, these guys just punching, kicking, and nailing each other in stairs. Like, did okay in this matchup. But Big Show eventually, after choke slamming him on Rowan on chairs, and stairs. Should I say stairs? He would get the big KO punch. And the 1-2-3 victory for Big Show. There was a couple okay teasers. Like I think Big Show was on top of one stair, and Erik was going to be had him with the with the top of the chair, top of the stairs. He had the top part of the stairs. Big Show was on the bottom of the stair. They were going to be hit him. But Big Show ducked out of it. So okay things, but it was just boring and slow going for two guys with limited mobility. That's why this match got 1.0, the lowest rated match of the entire card. So it was just okay, but and these guys were just beating each other up for nothing. Because what the hell are they fighting for? Nothing. No matter who wins, they're not going to go up the ladder. Speaking of climbing up the ladder, we had, of course, our next matchup. A tables match involving John Cena and Seth Rollins. Now, I was so surprised by the placing of this match in the middle of the card. I thought it was going to be main event. But I'm kind of glad the main event was what it was. Which I'll explain why when we get to it. And of course, with the added stipulation that if John Cena would have lost, we would not see Cena Lesnar 3 at any point, because Cena would lose his number one contendership. And there was an interesting observer. Paul Heyman was at ringside. He was part of the pre-show panel, and he was watching the match from ringside with John Cena trying every opportunity. It was an okay matchup between these two guys. It was decent. Rollins carried the matchup because he's more athletic of the two, having his moments, and of course, using his cronies, J&J security. During the first half of the matchup, every time Cena got very close to putting Rollins to the table, J&J security got involved. It got tired very quickly. You know, we should have thought that J&J security were going to get involved in the matchup. They got a little bit too involved. You know, literally. They got beat up to the back by Cena. And then later on, they would come back, and there was couple cool spots. Cena double FUing. He had both Noble and Milky on his back. He FU'd them both to a table. That was kind of a cool little spot. And there was, you know, Cena beating him on the outside as well. There was another okay spot just nailing him outside and with some FUs and stuff on the outside and everything. Juan was going for the curb stomp a few times. I don't think he even nailed the curb stomp at all. And then at one point, Cena did get Rollins to a table, but the referee was knocked out. That's when Noble and Mercury got involved. That's when he got double FU through the table when the referee was knocked out. And then Cena and Rollins just beat up each other some more until there was two tables laid outside the side of the floor. And they both went through tables at the same time. Referee got back up, just as Cena and Rollins both went through tables. They knocked each other off. They were on the side of the apron. They knocked each other off the apron onto two tables at the same time. So there was a bunch of referees out there trying to settle it, trying to see who won. I didn't want it to be no contest, because if it was a no contest, Cena would have kept his number one contendership. So then, referee that was the main referee in the matchup, Mike Chioda, would come in, restart the match, which was a great decision. So then, we thought that with J&J security out, we thought the interference was not going to happen anymore. But no, it continued. As Rollins and Cena brought each other again, even went to the main announce table. Cena FU'd Rollins through the main announce table, but it didn't break. So the match didn't end. So after that, Cena dragged Rollins back in the ring, trying to beat him up some more. And here comes the Big Show coming in. For whatever reason. Beating up Cena. And then, I knew somebody would make a return tonight. Some people were predicting Randy Orton. It was Roman Reigns making his return tonight. I knew Roman Reigns was going to return eventually. I've been hearing he was going to return in time for SmackDown this Tuesday in Grand Rapids. It was hinting at Survivor Series he was going to come back in December. We should have known he was going to come back at TLC. He won Superstar of the Year slamming. And he came in with a vengeance. Nailing a Superman punch to Big Show and spearing it through a table that was set up early in the evening on the corner. And Rollins got back up trying to nail Reigns with the briefcase, Money briefcase. And he got Superman punched, walked into Cena, another FU, through the table. Referee saw it. Cena wins the matchup. And that means Cena Lesnar 3 at Royal Rumble. I said a few weeks ago I wanted Cena to lose for 2 reasons. One, for Cena to get Rollins over without getting picked. Because every time I see Cena lose a matchup to a new superstar, it's like a big match. Because he's Super Cena! You know what I mean? He's Ego Cena. He doesn't want anyone pinning him. You know what I mean? Because he's trying to use the Hulk Hogan. He doesn't like getting anybody over. He wants to get people over cheaply without him getting pinned. You know, he lost a tables match to Sheamus back in 2009's TLC. In a similar tables match. Then you had him losing a steel cage match earlier this year to Bray Wyatt at Extreme Rules. The only match he lost to Bray Wyatt, but it was cheap. You know, every time Cena loses, he loses cheaply. You know, not because he got pinned, but because he went through a table, or there was interference in a cage match, or he got beat by Dean Ambrose in a contract and a pole match back in October. So I did not think Cena was going to win. I wanted to lose to get Rollins over and to avoid Cena Lesnar 3. But there was no avoiding it. No matter what, we were going to get Cena Lesnar 3, whether we like it or not. We're going to get Cena Lesnar 3 and Royal Rumble. And maybe RUSEV can get involved, because I read a few months ago that they were kind of planning Cena Lesnar 3, even though I didn't want to believe it, and I want to see it, because the last 2 matches were horrid. It's like Triple H and Lesnar's feud. No matter what you do, it's not exciting. The matches still suck, no matter what you do. You add any stipulations to it, the match still sucks. That's what happened to Cena Lesnar. You know, the Night of Champions match was okay. At least Cena got some offense, unlike the SummerSlam match. But we just don't want to see him fight again. 2.6 for this matchup. The interference got a little bit silly, especially with Roman Reigns coming in. I think everyone knew that, even though I wanted Cena to lose, I think someone's going to help Cena win. Like, someone interfere to screw Rollins over, like an Orton, or in this case, Roman Reigns. So there you go. Cena wins. Doesn't get Rollins over because of an egomaniac. And, sadly, Cena Lesnar 3 is official for Royal Rumble. And speaking of the Royal Rumble match itself, Roman Reigns is the first guy to be in the match. He, of course, this past year, should have won the Rumble last year before getting lastly eliminated by Batista, eliminating about, 14 guys, finally breaking Kane's record for most eliminations in a single Rumble match. So I think this should be Roman's year. Because, I mean, they may put Roman Reigns against Lesnar at WrestleMania. And I think Reigns, despite being injured, being out for a few months, I think he'll regain momentum. You know, the fans still love him. So there you go. Speaking of a guy trying to regain momentum after a few months being in silly situations, not getting injured though. He did take a few months off getting injured, but it was in stupid situations trying to regain his former glory back in 2012. Ryback, of course, he's got the crowd on his side again after a silly heel turn in a stupid 2013, early 2014 after 2012, and I didn't think Ryback deserved to be champion in 2012. I thought it was too soon for him. But it was on a roll. I think they should have made him champion. Because he had the crown on his side. And he's got the crown on his side again, trying to reclaim that former glory by being face again. But his momentum faced a brick wall. That was Kane. That could have slowed down his momentum as these two would face off in a chairs match. Now, for being a chairs match and being a match with Kane, this match was a little bit better than the War and Big Show match, but not by much. You know what I mean? It was okay. There's two guys punching and kicking each other. Ryback did okay. He looked decent in his matchup. Trying to put on a decent match with Kane, being Kane in the shape that he's in and not being as good as he once was, that's a challenge. And Ryback did okay. You know, with the limitations of limited mobility, like I said earlier, with the Big Show Warren match, Ryback did okay with Kane. And they knew that it wasn't going to rely on wrestling. It was relying more on nailing each other with the chairs. Was exactly what they did. They just nailed each other with chairs throughout the entire matchup. There were some okay spots, like Ryback going for the meat hook And then Kane just slamming the chair in his face, setting up a chokeslam. But then as Kane was going for the tombstone later on, Ryback reversed it, got out of it, should I say, and did nail the meat hook clothesline before setting up the shell shock on Kane. In the 1-2-3 victory for Ryback. Okay, 1.5. That's what I said. Better than Big Show won, but not by much. Now, on to our next matchup. Actually, there was a match before the Chairs match. I think the Divas match was before it. Yeah, the Divas match was before the Chairs match. And it was, of course, AJ Lee taking on Nikki Bella with Bray at ringside again. Now, it's, like I said earlier, it's going to be hard not to compare any match from this pay-per-view to the matches on NXT TakeOver, especially the Divas match. If you were to compare AJ and Nikki Bella against Natalya and Sasha Banks for NXT TakeOver, it's no fucking comparison. NXT TakeOver 1, because that match was just really competitive, just really back and forth. Just let these two girls wrestle and just have a great competitive matchup. That's what WWE needs to do with the women's division. Don't put them in silly situations like tonight. You know, silly hair pulling. Just let these two women and any other women in the Divas division just have a great competitive matchup. Just great action. No silliness. Just pure wrestling and excitement like NXT does. Now, unfortunately, I wasn't getting like AJ did okay in this matchup against Nikki Bella. But speaking of trying to make lemons out of the limitations of Nikki Bella's lack of wrestling ability and acting ability, especially with her and Brie are both silly actors. But anyway, of course, AJ had to come with the fact that Brie Bella was at ringside, and Brie got involved. If you should know, Brie would have got involved some way, shape, or form. After AJ did nail the Shining Wizard, it was an okay little matchup. Both these guys had tried okay with wrestling moves. But after AJ nailed the Shining Wizard, it did have the Black Widow on at one point of Nikki. But that was before she got the Shining Wizard on. Nikki and Brie pulled Nikki's leg over the rope because she was kind of close to the rope. Nikki got help for Brie to put her foot on the rope, and Brie was kicked out. But even though Brie was kicked out, Nikki still took advantage of the referee distracted to put Brie back to the locker room. Nikki took the opportunity with referee not looking, got something from her foot, blinded AJ with it, set up the rack attack, and the 1-2-3 victory for Nikki Bella, retaining her Divas Championship tonight. Is AJ done in the company? You know, with her husband now going to UFC. You know, and AJ losing at Survivor Series. I heard rumors that she was going to retire at the Survivor Series, but she went for this matchup and winning Diva of the Year at the Slammies. You know what I mean? But she lost again tonight. This could be a sign that AJ might be leaving, but we don't know anything. 2.0. Or should not even 2.2. It was okay, but in comparison to the Divas match, or should I say the women's match, it's a separation. They fight like divas in the Divas division. But in the women's division, they actually wrestle in the NXT. If you want to compare those two, no comparison. NXT's women's match, way fucking better. Watch it for yourself, please. I don't mean to shamelessly plug it, but NXT needs more respect. Everyone's applauding NXT. I'm applauding NXT for being great wrestling. So believe it. Don't just take it from me. Say it for yourself. Now, on to our co-main event. I thought it was getting close to the end. I thought they were going to cut this match, but they didn't. It was the United States Championship matchup. Jack Swagger against RUSEV. Kind of rehashing their feud from back in the summer. But this time around, no Zep Culture. He was taken out by RUSEV a few weeks ago to set up this rematch between these two. And this time, it's for a title. It's not just for bragging rights and country pride. It's about a title. Especially the United States one. I'm hearing they want to bring back the European title. Makes sense, because Rusev's kind of a European. Even though Russia's in Asia. Not technically in Europe, it's part of Asia. Anyway, the match was Like, they had okay match. Like, Jack Swagger, in my mind, was, I think, the only guy that got even close to being Rusev in the summertime. And he got the Patriot Lock on him numerous times in the matches and on Raw this past week. And Rusev was noticeably limping throughout the matchup as Swagger was just nailing on that leg, putting a Patriot Lock on him in various points in the matchup. Especially one point when Rusev was pounding him on the outside with some nasty kicks and got him back in the ring for the accolade. Swagger tried blocking out the accolade, but he got locked in the accolade. And if you saw the event, you saw as Swagger was in the accolade and trying to get out of it. He did get out of it and reversed it to the Patriot Lock. That was a cool move there, seeing Swagger. It's kind of like the first guy to kind of get out of the accolade. Instead of passing out, he got out of it and turning it into the Patriot Lock. But as he did it, there was a bunch of heads turning. Like, the entire fans of the arena were turning. That there was something else going on that was more exciting than what was going on in the ring. I don't know what happened. Someone must have, might have been a fight or a rowdy fan. Who knows? There might be some fan reports coming out later on about what happened and why people were turning their heads during the Swagger Rusev match, especially during that moment when Swagger was getting out of the accolade. So he got the Patriot Lock in, but then Rusev got to the ropes, fought outside the ring again, and the sign of the end was when Rusev nailed a big kick to Swagger in the ringside area, dragged him back in for another kick, got him back in the accolade, and with Jack weakened from those two kicks, he passed out yet again to the accolade, and Mr. Rusev retained the U.S. Championship belt. 2.0, it was just okay. With Rusev being undefeated again. Is anyone going to beat him? I said earlier, a couple weeks ago, that if he were to lose to Cena, his career is over. If his first loss is to Cena, his career is done. Because you can't recover from losing to Cena for your first match. So there you go. You know, your first loss to Cena, you can't recover from that. Now, on to the best match of the night. A man who lost his momentum. Speaking of John Cena, of course, a man that lost his momentum after feuding with Cena. Of course, the John Cena effect. What happens to your career after losing to Cena? Bray Wyatt trying to rebound. And he had a great chance with a great feud going on with Dean Ambrose. Now, I knew these two were going to fight at TLC. In an ODQ matchup of sorts. Especially after what happened in Survivor Series with these two fighting with DQ. And it was a big brawl matchup. And I knew if these two guys would fight up at TLC, they had a great matchup. And they did. And it was a TLC matchup. And these two guys, it was just a fucking brawl, these two guys. And I was very surprised and happy that they got the main event. Because Dean Ambrose, when he made event of pay-per-view, it was really good. It was Hell in a Cell, where this whole thing started. When Dean Ambrose took on Seth Rollins in an epic Hell in a Cell match. Despite the ending being spoiled by Bray Wyatt getting involved, starting their feud, and leaving a question mark on the end of the Rollins Ambrose feud. Kind of like not ending it conclusively. That was the only bad part of it. So, like I said, that's my Survivor Series match. Now I got the TLC match. These two guys, it was just a fight. These two guys were just beating the crap out of each other because these two guys are just crazy. And these two guys were just beating each other up with anything that's not nailed down. You know, they used candlesticks. So many spots in this matchup. Like I said, every stipulation match is basically a spot fest. This, no exception. They used candlesticks, like I said. Dean Ambrose bought them out. And you saw Bray Wyatt was like, "Thank you, sir, may I have another?" Just getting wailed with that candlestick. And then Bray Wyatt kind of turned the tables. Pardon the pun. And he put the candlestick on top of one of the turnbuckles. And then he wailed Dean Ambrose into it. And it hit Dean Ambrose in the eye. I was like, wow, that was a heavy spot. And to see Ambrose continue the match despite getting nailed in the eye, you could have a cracked cornea. With the way he nailed the, like, here's the candlestick, and Dean Ambrose, it was like, oh, right in his eye, too. It was like, he hit the side of his eye. I thought it was like cracked cornea or something. But he went on, and these got, like, all the, chairs were brought out. You know what I mean? Like, Dean Ambrose, like, both these guys, I don't know how many tables they went through. At least 5 tables. There was one spot where, like, Dean Ambrose got backdropped to a table. And then there was, of course, the 3 elbow drops from Dean Ambrose through tables on a prone Bray Wyatt. There was, of course, 1 medium-sized ladder. Dean Ambrose set up Bray on top of a table. He climbed on top of a ladder, did an elbow on top of a ladder. Then he did another elbow drop through another size ladder. Of course, we would see the 3rd drop later on in the matchup. And both these guys doing numerous moves. They both did the finishes multiple times. Various close calls to winning. Dean Ambrose nailed the Dirty Deeds. And there was one cool thing, I think Dean was going for something. I think it was after he just beat the crap out of Bray so hard, Bray wanted to get back up. And then Bray came back with a surprise out of nowhere. Sister Abigail almost got the victory, but didn't get it done. And there was another cool spot early on in the matchup. They were fighting by the pre-show area. And where they have like a whole set for the pre-show commentary, with the pre-show panel. And they had this big table. And Ambrose he ran from the pre-show panel table onto a prone Bray Wyatt on the floor with a bunch of fans. That was another cool spot. And these 2 guys were just, like I said, these guys, they just had the match I knew they were going to have. It was just a brawl. It was a fight. These 2 guys were just fighting tooth and nail, beating the crap out of each other, going through so many tables. And I couldn't believe they just endured this much punishment getting nailed with tables, ladders, and chairs and stairs galore. Oh my. So after Ambrose got some more weapons, he was looking for more weapons after he nailed Wyatt a few times. He grabbed a television set. That would be, of course, a big part of the ending. And he looked at his TV, which was like an extra monitor. And with this TV monitor, he was looking at it. It was like a mirror almost. He looked at this TV and he saw a bigger ladder. So he got this big ladder from the Titantron area, grabbed it, and Bray Wyatt was still out after getting Dirty Deeds and all this annihilation from Ambrose. Got laid on the Spanish announce table, because you cannot have any extreme pay-per-view without breaking the Spanish announce table. And Dean Ambrose knows that better than anybody else, especially after falling off the top of Hell in a Cell with Seth Rollins on the Spanish announce table back at the Hell in a Cell pay-per-view. So Ambrose got on top of the ladder, and for the 3rd time on a bigger ladder, Ambrose would deliver an elbow drop from the top of a ladder onto a pro Bray Wyatt on a table. This one was the best one, because it was just a big-ass table. And the fans were just into it. The fans were like, yeah, holy shit, this is awesome. And it was awesome. It was just a very physical matchup. They just brought in, I think they deserve to be in the main event. Because you can't put guys who deserve to be in the main event without putting them in it. You're saying, oh, they're main eventers, but they're not the main event. They need to get up. They need to be put in the main event to shine in the main event, which these 2 guys did. And this is Bray Wyatt's first main event match since his feud with John Cena. So it's kind of cool to see Bray Wyatt be in the main event match, and of course, as you would see, end up with the victory. As after being put through a table, Wyatt was still asking for more punishment. And like I said, Bray, after being put to the table, we would see him go back in the ring. And Dean Ambrose was trying to use the TV as a weapon. Of course, he used the TV earlier to view the ladder. And like I said, the TV would be a big part of the ending. And it was. As Dean Ambrose was trying to get the TV off because TV was connected to a bunch of cables. As he was trying to get the TV off the cables, the TV short-circuited and exploded into Dean Ambrose's face. With Dean blinded, Wyatt took the advantage, got the Sister Abigail, and 1-2-3 victory for Bray Wyatt, winning the main event of TLC after Dean tried to use the TV but backfired literally in his face, with the victory for Bray Wyatt, capitalizing from it. Great to see Bray Wyatt win. I love Ambrose, but Bray Wyatt needed this win to get back momentum that he lost, like I said, from the Cena feud. He needs momentum again, and it's a great way to get it. He lost by DQ. He won by DQ at Survivor Series after Ambrose used a chair on him. So tonight, all those weapons were legal. Chair was legal, the tables was legal. And the build-up of the match was great. The match itself, it was just a brawl, man. These 2 guys just tore it up tonight. 4.0 tonight. Probably the best match on the card. But it didn't save the entire pay-per-view, though. As a whole, the whole entire card from top to bottom, NXT Our Evolution had the better card. So I keep comparing it to it. But but I'm probably not going to be the only one who's going to compare TLC to NXT TakeOver Evolution tonight. You can't. I can't help it. None of us wrestling fans can help it. Especially as NXT's putting out some exciting stuff. It's hard not to compare It's hard not to compare TLC to NXT. It's hard not to. So there's only 2 really good matches, and the other couple just okay. But at least the TLC match was just epic. At least that's like rewatchable. Because these 2 guys, Bray Wyatt and Ambrose, they just beat the crap out of each other, literally. With tables, ladders, and chairs, oh my, and stairs. So there you go, best match of the night, 4.0. Wyatt winning the TLC match. And maybe we're getting some momentum they lost, like I said, from the Cena feud. And that is it for the review for Tables, Ladders, and Chairs 2014. Once again, a pay-per-view rating 6.5. I think I gave Survivor Series a 6.2 because of the 2 great matches. I think I gave Survivor Series 7.0 and so did NXT TakeOver, same rating, but a little bit lower rating for TLC this time. Thank you very much for watching. With that in mind, y'all been attacked by the review from Zach. See you later. Happy holidays. Can't believe it's almost Christmas. No snow on the ground yet here in Michigan. See you later, yeah.